Hi, welcome to Legal Aid of North Carolina's Disaster Relief Information Session. Thank you for being here today. My name is Josh McLean, and I'm a paralegal with Legal Aid's Disaster Relief Project. The purpose of this information session is really to provide folks in the community, all of y'all, with information about our project and the works we do in hopes that we can figure out ways to collaborate and in hopes that you, as you're doing your own work in your communities, can use Legal Aid's Disaster Relief Project as a resource to refer anyone who's still struggling with disaster recovery. Getting the word out through all of you and through your organizations is really crucial to our ability to reach everyone who still needs help. Of course, the other purpose of our information sessions in general is to provide you with a chance to ask us questions. Now, because this session is recorded, you obviously can't ask me any questions, but I will be addressing some of the questions we've gotten in previous sessions at the end of the recording. And we'll send this out with contact information for the Disaster Relief Project, which will also link with the video if we post it on Legal Aid social media. So you can look for that. And please do reach out to us if you have any questions. Now, let's get down to it. First, for folks who haven't encountered Legal Aid before, I'll give a quick introduction to our organization. And then for folks who haven't encountered the Disaster Relief Project within Legal Aid, I'll give a quick introduction to our project. Legal Aid of North Carolina is a statewide nonprofit law firm. Legal Aid provides free civil legal representation to low-income citizens of North Carolina. As a firm, we do a lot of housing work, resolving landlord-tenant issues, a lot of domestic violence work, a lot of employment law, really most anything that isn't a criminal issue and that you aren't going to make money off of. We'll provide free legal counsel for folks who otherwise couldn't afford representation. And beyond this general practice, Legal Aid also has a number of specialized projects that work in particular areas. The Disaster Relief Project is one of those specialized projects. We focus on providing legal support for long-term recovery from natural disasters. That means assisting individual households with their legal needs and also assisting community groups. Under our current grant, we're focused on providing support to the, unfortunately, many North Carolinians who are still recovering from Hurricane Florence in 2018. Now, I think sometimes folks are confused by the idea of legal work in disaster recovery, or aren't sure what a law firm can do to help support recovery. And I really find that examples are helpful here. So I'll run through a brief description of some of the things that Legal Aid's Disaster Relief Project can do. Now, like all of Legal Aid, we serve low-income folks who otherwise couldn't afford representation, and we also have some funds for folks who are elderly. So for low-income or elderly survivors of Hurricane Florence, we can help with consumer matters, and that's insurance issues, right? If your insurance company didn't give you the funds that you think you should have gotten, or they didn't give you any funds and you want to fight back. That can be contractor scams and fraud. Unfortunately, after natural disasters, we see a whole lot of folks trying to defraud survivors. And those are still cases we're seeing now, right? With folks who paid a contractor and the contractor never did any work or didn't do the work they said they were going to do and then ran off with the money. And we can't always get the money back in those cases, but we could certainly help make that more likely. And we can also help make sure that folks take the steps to help other folks not fall victim to the same scams in the future. And sometimes there's housing work involved in disaster recovery. So that can be landlord-tenant or mobile home park issues, right? There were repairs that need to be made after the storm that still haven't been made. And we can step in those cases and help negotiate and try and help get those repairs made, or help reduce rent if rent was raised right after the storm when housing was short. And then there's a whole big category of disaster assistance issues. And so an example here would be FEMA recoupment. FEMA comes after the storm and they distribute money to folks. They distribute that short-term assistance. And then down the line, FEMA reassesses those cases. And if FEMA decides that they've distributed too much money, they'll ask for that money back, and that's what a recoupment is. And we can help folks file appeals there to try and make sure that they're not going to have that money collected back from FEMA. Sometimes the work we do with those disaster assistance programs is really about clarifying ownership, clarifying someone's ownership of their homes so that they can more easily apply to programs, or can more easily apply to the local organizations that provide assistance. And we see a lot of situations of heir property, right, where there are multiple family members who own a piece of land together. And in those situations, we can help clients navigate that complicated ownership situation and clarify what exactly that ownership is and who owns what, so that they can more easily get assistance. And finally, falling under this category of disaster assistance programs, and perhaps our biggest current area of work, is the Rebuild NC program, which is an assistance program that's funded by HUD and run by the state of North Carolina. It's designed to be the funding of last resort. And the Rebuild program has just, in the summer of 2020, opened up for Florence survivors. Now, we can help folks apply to the program, in particular if they're confused by the process or they don't have consistent internet access to complete the online application, or if they have particular concerns about their eligibility. We can also help folks address possible issues with their applications before they ever apply. So if someone's thinking about applying to this program, you can refer them to us then, and we can look at their situation and help them clarify their ownership, help them collect documents to show they used previous disaster assistance funds so that they don't run into issues of what Rebuild would call duplication of benefits down the line. And finally, and really importantly, when some folks inevitably do run into issues, we'll be there to help with appeals, which is something we've already been doing for quite a while with the Hurricane Matthew Rebuild NC program. So if you see people down the line who have been denied from the program or who don't understand their Rebuild award, please send them our way. Now, there are two other parts of the disaster relief project that I do want to note and that don't exactly fit into this, direct legal services for individuals model. First, there's an aspect of our project that really supports all of this individual legal work and makes us also pretty unique as a legal project, which is that we have a dedicated team of social workers on staff. So each client is also connected to a social worker who can support them through what is often a really emotionally and mentally challenging and exhausting process of recovery, and who can also connect them to existing community resources and help them find alternative solutions. And for all of y'all who are in communities that have been hit by hurricanes, you know that recovery is really complex, and it's a long process that involves all kinds of needs. So we feel it's really important that the Disaster Relief Project offers this social work support to our clients. And the last thing that I'll say about what we do as a project that's a little distinct from our other legal work is just to note really quickly that the Disaster Relief Project also works with community organizations that support disaster recovery themselves. So if any of y'all are from or are connected to a group doing disaster relief and recovery work, just know that we can help groups apply for nonprofit status. We can help draft bylaws and working documents. We generally can try to use our legal expertise to help strengthen the organization of disaster recovery groups. Now, hopefully all of that makes the role of Legal Aid's Disaster Relief Project a little clearer. And really, if you're ever wondering if you should refer someone to Legal Aid, please go ahead and send them our way. The worst thing that happens is that we can't help directly, but we'd always rather take a look at a case and see if there's anything we can do. And even if someone isn't eligible for our services, we can refer them to other assistance. Now, if you're referring folks for disaster issues, you can reach out to our project directly. And as long as the person you're referring has asked for us to call, and we can't solicit, so they really do have to ask us to call and be expecting that call, one of our project paralegals can give them a call and see if they're eligible for legal aid services, and then go through the intake process directly. If you're referring folks for general legal aid issues or general services, or if it's just easier, you can also always direct folks to call our intake hotline, which is 1-866-219-5262. Again, that's 1-866-219-5262. Or folks can apply online at legalaidnc.org. I also want everyone to know that the Disaster Relief Project is going to be having more information sessions. At the end of August, we'll be talking about accessing recovery funds and some of the issues that can come up with recovery funds, like FEMA recovery. In September, we'll be talking about clarifying homeownership and disaster recovery and getting into what air property is and how it can be resolved. In October, we'll talk about estate planning and disasters, wills and powers of attorney. And you can find more information about all of these upcoming information sessions and register them directly at legalaidnc.org/disasterinfo. Again, that's legalaidnc.org/disasterinfo. While you're there, our website also has a library of disaster legal resources that we've produced, including more than 50 videos on disaster-related topics. And all of that can be found at legalaidnc.org/disaster. That's a different URL than the one I just gave. The one I just gave was for our videos. This is our general home page for the Disaster Relief Project. Again, that's legalaidnc.org/disaster. Now, if you go and you watch those videos and there's a topic that you think would be helpful, folks in your community and you don't see it, please let us know. And we're always looking to generate new content, and we'd really like to have up what people think would be helpful. Again, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch this and learn more about Legal Aid of North Carolina's disaster relief project. We hope you'll keep us in mind as you encounter folks in your communities that are still struggling to make a full recovery from Florence. We'll certainly do our best to stay in contact and to answer any questions you have. If a paralegal contacted you about these information sessions, please feel free to reach back up to that point of contact anytime. There's also a contact form that we'll email with this recording, and if we post this online, we'll link to that, so you can get in contact with us with any questions that way. Now, finally, just before we close, I'm going to turn, like I said I would, to some questions from our previous sessions, in case these came up for you in the course of watching this video. So first, we had folks asking about who are eligible clients for legal aid. Now, like I said, legal aid provides free legal services, and there's an income limit for legal aid clients. In general, folks need to fall below that income limit, but I will also say that we try and serve as many folks as possible. So we do look for additional factors that will let us serve applicants. And there are some cases where income limits don't apply in quite the same way, like domestic violence cases. And those same conditions apply to the disaster relief project, right? We can help any citizen of North Carolina who was impacted by Hurricane Florence and is otherwise eligible for legal aid assistance. And again, we do need that Florence connection, but if there was other hurricane damage that were also hit by a different storm, that's totally fine. It should absolutely apply. And in general, right, again, I would say, if you have a question, if you think maybe apply, right, reach out to us, get in contact, and either, right, we will help you ourselves or we will refer you to someone who can, but always better to apply and ask about that. We also had some questions, asking if we could sort of include a brief on requirements for Rebuild NC, that state-run program. There are a number of eligibility requirements for Rebuild, and I don't think this is really the best space to get into all of that, though we have produced previous videos about Rebuild, and those are available on our website and on Legal Aid of North Carolina's Facebook page and Legal Aid of North Carolina's YouTube channel. But generally, what I'll say here is that any homeowner who still has damage from Hurricanes Matthew or Florence, and that's Matthew or Florence, that hasn't been repaired, or that damage hasn't been fully repaired, should apply, right? And that's homeowners whose primary residence was damaged, right? It does have to be the primary residence. But again, Rebuild NC is the funding of last resort. So it's the last big block of assistance funds that are going to come down from the storm. And it's much better for folks to at least put in an application. And if folks are worried about their eligibility for specific reasons, they should absolutely contact our project. And again, they can do that through the website. They can call in to our hotline. And if folks have just general questions, I'll also give Rebuild's contact here, right? Rebuild's number is 1-833-275-7262, and their website is rebuild.nc.gov, and there's certainly helpful information there as well. There were some questions about sort of other videos or information, introductions to Rebuild, introductions to legal aid. And again, I would encourage people to look at the videos that are available on our website, legalaidnc.org/disaster, and through Legal Aid North Carolina's Facebook page, where we have a lot of content already generated on these things. And we will make sure to also post and spread around flyers and information about our upcoming information sessions. If there are other things that you think we should be doing, other ways we think we should be reaching folks, please reach out to us and let us know how we can be reaching more folks, because we really do want to make sure that we're accessing everybody who still needs assistance. And obviously reaching out to folks is now trickier than ever in the midst of COVID. But thank you for being here today. Thank you for the work you're doing in your communities. Stay safe.